Well, if you want a truly frustrating job in public health, try getting people to stop smoking. Even when researchers combine counseling and encouragement with nicotine patches and gum, smoking remains one of the toughest things to give up. With us today is Dr. Jennifer Warren, human health communication specialist at Rutgers University, with some new tools to quit smoking. And welcome to the show. And let's talk about nicotine and why this is such an addictive substance.
Well, it's, first of all, a drug that impacts dopamine levels in our brain, which, like many other drugs, cocaine, crack, heroin, different drugs, gives us a pleasurable feeling. Okay. And many people like that feeling, and when they don't get it anymore, they start to chase it. Okay. And so, hence, they become addicted, and nicotine is a very addictive substance. And there are over 400,000 deaths each year in America due needlessly to tobacco use.
Oh, there's been a lot of different ways to combat this. I mean, they've raised the prices of cigarettes now. There's nicotine patches, but none of those seems to help. You've got something new. We've got an electronic cigarette. We never thought that we would see the electronic and cigarette, but e-cigarettes. Talk to me about those.
Well, let me first clarify. This is not necessarily new. There have always been harm reduction aids in quitting smoking, such as snus, something you put in your mouth that doesn't combust, because the issue is when you light a cigarette, it combusts, and it's all those chemicals that are so toxic that are the real nasty things in tobacco that surround this nicotine. But so it's not necessarily a new thing, but the World Health Organization calls it electronic nicotine delivery system. And
now, how do these work? I know it's like a vapor.
Well, what happens is you have this tube, and inside the tube there's a cartridge. The cartridge actually has in it a humectant carrier, propylene glycol, and nicotine. And so when the person puts an active battery in it and turns it on, the humectant lights, or not lights, but warms up and forms a mist as it evaporates. And the person inhales this mist, and that's why they could smoke it anywhere because there's no regulation on it. Now, the thing that's interesting and important to know about this e-cigarette is that it does not combust. Hence, those nasty toxins that get in our body from smoking regular cigarettes are not there. A lot of people have tried to see if e-cigarettes or electronic nicotine delivery systems are useful for quitting smoking, and have found some mixed effects.
I was just going to say that. Let's talk about the pros and cons of what is called vaping now, which is an interesting new term. Vaping, folks, that's what it's called. So talk to me about the pros and cons of this.
Well, the pros and cons, first of all, as I said before, you don't get the nasty toxins, so to speak. Okay, that come from lighting a cigarette. That's one. Also, for smokers who are addicted to nicotine, they can smoke this anywhere. There's no law. They can smoke it in any place. I could light up right here and not be breaking any law. So that's another. So for someone who's trying to get off of nicotine, it may be useful for that. Cons, big tobacco industry.
Sure.
Can we really trust them to create a device that's going to help people really quit smoking? Also, we don't know all of the chemicals that are in that cartridge with which the nicotine, the mist, becomes relevant. We don't know all of the substances in there, and some have been tested and found to have some very bad substances in them.
Okay, so I imagine there's going to be a lot more testing on that as well.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about the costs associated with this and where people can go get e-cigarettes.
Well, a lot of people get e-cigarettes on the web. You know, yeah, wow. They do. I had a student whose goal was, after he graduated, to create a web site to sell this particular cool-looking e-cigarette, and they were cool. I was like, wow, they were black, slick. Wow. You know, yeah. You can also get them, as I soon discovered, from your corner gas station. I went in there, and this is in a low-income area I live in, and they actually have e-cigarettes in a display cabinet, and they cost $30. So you can get them in that area. They cost $30.
Well, if you smoke a lot, it's probably cheaper. So there you go.
It may be, but there are other places that charge a lot more because they claim theirs are more pure. You get the better nicotine. You know, you have more of a pleasurable experiences. But you can really get them from a lot of different places. Just corner stores, bodegas, gas stations, the web. But the web is the biggest distributor of e-cigarettes.
And just any advice you have for any of those hardcore smokers? Any advice would you tell them to try these e-cigarettes?
Well, I would say, you know, just because something new and claims to be harm reduction doesn't make it any better. I mean, or make it any safer. These things have chemicals in them just like regular cigarettes do. So this is not a panacea for quitting. This is maybe a way to reduce the toxins, but that's about it.
All right. Well, Dr. Jennifer Warren from Rutgers University, we appreciate your insight on ways to quit smoking. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you.